Welcome to another episode of the Cattle USA Daily Podcast. Today we are back in our groove, having Gary on our Monday episodes to talk about the weather. Gary Gary Lezak with the Weather 2020 team is an amazing partnership that we have here at Cattle USA, and we are just so grateful that we get to bring Gary on weekly with you guys and talk about the weather, talk about all of the things that are happening, especially with long-term predictive weather patterns and what that looks like for us as cattle producers within the industry, and also for everyone going out into planting season in the next few weeks and stuff like that, what that looks like for all of you guys. Gary also has some super exciting news that I'm not going to say in the intro, but I will say in the first few minutes of this episode, he does divulge. And I am very excited for him. I know all of his fans, all of you listeners are going to be very excited to hear his news as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode with Gary. Gary, happy Friday. And I guess to everyone listening, happy Monday. It's Friday for us though. So Gary, happy Friday. Welcome to another episode. How are you? What's going on? What do we have to share?
Lauren, good morning to you, or it could be afternoon. I don't know. But for us, it's morning. It is Friday. It's exciting. It's going to snow here in Colorado. The latest storm is coming through. We'll talk about the pattern, the weather pattern that's just absolutely spot on and still difficult to forecast. But my gosh, there's a lot going on today. Today at KSHB in Kansas City, they're announcing that I am going to be returning to TV. I'm going to be on from in the mornings for the next 12 weeks. Lindsay Anderson, the morning meteorologist there, just had a baby. I think the baby's name is Grayson. So congratulations to Lindsay and her husband Andrew and their son Gordon. I saw a picture of Gordon, this 3-year-old, looking like this at the baby, because the Gordon's probably like, what? That baby, who knows what a 3-year-old's thinking. So, but congratulations to them. But guess what I get to do? I get to fill in.
Yes, Gary's going back to the news.
Yeah, and for the first 15 years of my career in TV, when I discovered the LRC, believe it or not, in 87, 88, I was just 2 years into my career, and I got up at 2 in the morning every single day. And I was on the air for the first 15 years of my career, and I never had a cup of coffee like I'm having right now. So, and so I never had one all those years because I always just got energized by the weather. I literally didn't have coffee. But I'm going to be back to getting up. The problem is I'm going to be broadcasting from Colorado, from my apartment home here. And we just put a little studio up in my loft office. And the show starts at 4:30 in the morning, Kansas City time, 3:30 a.m. Like Garth Brooks' song begins, the thunder rolls. 3:30 in the morning, not a soul in sight. So I think that's how it starts. That's going to be me every day for about 12 weeks.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be so worth it though. It's going to be so worth it.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I get to connect with my fans and viewers out there. And one thing that, when I was a kid, I practiced, I played a game. I used to have this little weather game. I would make my own little world. And I'd draw a circle and I'd put 8 different cities, and then I'd draw the weather map and I'd start forecasting as like a 10-year-old kid up in my room. My mom was like, what is he saying in there? I was doing the weather. And so maybe that helped me, but whatever. I love broadcasting the weather on TV. And so nowadays you can do that on YouTube, and we have a YouTube channel, and we can do it talking to you in this podcast. And weather may fade in the next decade or two, but I love explaining the weather, and we're going to do that now about this crazy weather pattern we're in.
Yes, dive right in. What are we seeing? It has been a hellacious week, and there's a lot going on. We got a lot to talk about as far as the weather goes.
We just had a series of storm systems blast across the plains. Most spots did get precipitation. So even the driest areas did get precipitation, rain or snow. In some areas way too much. If you go down to the Tennessee Valley, southern Missouri, Kentucky, Indiana, too much rain in parts of the Corn Belt even. And then other areas still would love to get another good drink of water. But remember, the weather pattern is cycling regularly. This is what I discovered back in 1987-88. And before me, Jerome Namias in the 1940s, although he never put together that the whole pattern repeats over and over again. We are in the 5th cycle of this year's pattern. And there were 2 main phases that we picked out in December in our winter forecast, and now it has played out. It has played out. Not every single thing that our model predicted has happened, but a lot of it has. Not every one of our predictions has happened, but most of them have. So there are still spots that don't get as much rain or snow as we thought would happen, but it's interesting. There are these 2 phases, Lauren. One phase, which is the stormy phase, where there's about 8 different storms. If you've been listening all along to our podcast here, we've been explaining those 8 storm systems. They just came through. The final one just went through, and this warm up this week into the 70s, maybe even 80 degrees, and clear blue sky is amazing. It is literally part of the pattern. Jeff Penner, who works at KSHB and knows the LRC well, he calls it the blue sky part of the pattern because his son is into trains. He's going to K-State University. He's engineering school. He's a fascinating kid, but he's obsessed with trains. It's like Jeff, his father's obsessed with weather. And Skylar was going train and airplane hunting, so he's going to go watch trains and go to Illinois and Indiana, wherever he's going, where it's very wet. And Jeff said, "Oh, you're planning your trip during the blue sky part of the pattern." And he went, and it was blue sky. And this is forecast weeks out. And so the blue sky part of the pattern happened then. We predicted it, and now we know when it is. Right after the stormy period is this blue sky part of the pattern. It doesn't last very long, 3, 4, 5 days. Then some weak storm systems start, and then the 8 storms return. So that's all going to come back here in about 2 weeks. Mid-April through early May, the pattern that just produced the severe weather and wet weather will return. Then there'll be another blue sky part of the pattern. Then in mid-May, and then mid to late May through mid-June, before summer gets here, we get those 8 storms again. We've been talking about that, and if you listen to our past podcast, Lauren, we've talked about it. Everything is cycling just like that. That is happening. Predicting the weather based off of it for Manhattan, Kansas, for North Platte, Nebraska, for Dodge City, Kansas, for Kansas City, for South Dakota, North Dakota, or where it's really wet in southern Indiana, in Kentucky. The pattern's consistently producing. It's right on schedule, and this is going to happen. But exactly what happens on your farm and for your interest in weather, it's still difficult to forecast. And we do really well, but at least with the LRC and Weather 2020, you get to have that crystal ball, an idea of what will happen.
And as farmers and ranchers, especially during planting season, that is something that we all joke about. Like, oh, if only we had a crystal ball. Well, we've got it right here. We've got it. We know it's coming. We know the weeks that it's going to be here, things like that. So it's a really awesome tool to have. Let me tell you, planning vacations and stuff for me is wonderful now because I'm like, hey, I know what it's going to be like now. Gary told me so. Just look at the cycle. It's cycling. And my husband and I are just weather pros now because of this, right? Like it's, I love it. Anything else like on the horizon for spring, Gary? Any other big things we need to kind of talk about or break down?
Right. As I begin my second television career for 12 weeks, it's all it's is 12 weeks, but I'll be done by July. As soon as we get to July 11th, when I'm done with that, on my final day, it'll be after July 4th. The question directs towards, will there be any major heat waves? How impacted will they be? Will they last a long time? There's almost inevitably going to be one heat wave. A heat wave is defined to have 3 consecutive days of 95 degrees or hotter in Kansas City, maybe north, even all of Kansas and Nebraska would be pretty much defined that way. You go for a little farther north, maybe it's 92 or higher, 3 days in a row. But 3 days in a row is the whole point for this heat. Usually heat waves last 3, 4, or 5 days. Occasionally you have a 1980 year or a 1988 year or a 2012 year. Those are bad heat wave years and drought years where the heat wave would last 20 and 30 days and get up to 110, 112 degrees. We don't see one of those popping up this summer. So that's something that we'll be analyzing though and discussing in the next few weeks. But that'll be something that we discuss, next week and as summer approaches.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really important for our feedlot folks and people taking care of the animals. And I mean, obviously it's important for crops too, but especially we saw just really big repercussions last year from heat waves and stuff like that in the cattle industry. So it's just really important that we are able to stay on top of it. And if we're able to sit here and kind of predict the weeks that it's going to be hitting and stuff, allowing everyone with those businesses to be a little bit more prepared and diligent in those preparations and stuff like that. So we're not scrambling last minute, for sure.
Speaking of weeks, how was your week?
It was amazing. It really was. I was in DC all week last week.
Oh, that's right.
So that was a blast. It was a blast. I had so much fun, but I've been telling everyone this week that it has been so, so nice to be back to my routine, back home, back here in my studio, like doing all the things. So I loved DC. It was a great experience. I hope that everyone at least once in their lives goes to DC. And then we spent 4 days in Gettysburg too.
Wow.
And so that was really impactful.
That's
too.
amazing.
So I really hope that everyone at least once in their lives is able to go do both of those things because it was so much fun and so impactful and just a really, really good time. And I love the group of people that I get to go with, the group of 29 that we are with. And so that just makes it all the much better. I just get to go hang out with 29 of my friends for a week and stuff.
What is this group of people?
So it's the CARL program. So it's the Kansas Agricultural Rural Leadership Program. And each state has their own version of it. So like Nebraska has the LEAD program. Colorado has their own version. I don't know what it's called, but same concept. It's a 2-year program where they take ag professionals throughout the state through a 2-year intensive program. And we tour different sectors of the state and sectors of ag and learning more about Kansas agriculture. But then we do a March trip to DC the first year. And then we do a March trip that's an international trip the second year. So we're going to Brazil next year.
Oh my goodness. That's
Yes.
amazing. I just met with our technology team from Weather 2020. 2 of the members live in Brazil. So
Wow, that's so cool.
and one in Colombia. And they were all here in Boulder, Colorado, and we had a big meeting just yesterday. But wow, I learned a little bit about Brazil. That should be fascinating.
Yeah, it is a blast. I'm really excited for Brazil, but it's still a year out. But I'm really, really excited. It should be an absolute blast, and we're going to be going to some pretty remote parts of Brazil too, to like go tour ag operations and stuff. So it'll be fun. It'll be an experience for sure. But my week's been good. It's been good to get back into the routine, back into the groove of things. I was traveling again for a couple days this week, but it wasn't a week-long thing. So I was like able to get back into the groove, back into the office, get some things on my to-do list checked off.
When you get within 6 months of your trip, of course, you can check the global predictor for your forecast down in Brazil.
Yes,
It's global.
exactly.
And then on our product that we would love farmers to have, that Weather 2020 Vision dashboard, and you can see it on your screen how to get
Yeah.
You can get the world version. If you are really into analytics, you can get the Brazil, Argentina, the whole corn belt down there, the whole ag forecast down there, so you can stay on top of that. The LRC just set up for the year in the Southern Hemisphere, so we're figuring out the cycle. It's a little bit different down there, but the model still works, so if you want to see that.
Nice. That's so fun. I'm going to be like the cool person of the group, being able to tell everyone multiple months out, hey, this is what the weather's going to be like while we're in Brazil, you guys.
Right.
Prepare accordingly.
I'm at a conference this next week. I'm speaking Monday. I'm emceeing this big gala on Wednesday. I'm meeting Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, on Tuesday. So next week's quite a week. I might have some things to talk about at the end of the week. We'll talk to you about that. But it's going to be amazing. But we used a global predictor when the organizers with all these things, they had me involved in these meetings. I showed them the global predictor and it had 70s for the whole conference. And they're like, oh yeah, sure. And here it's going to snow today and it's going to be in the 70s next week. It's going to be right. I'm going to make sure I stress that.
Who would have thought? Oh yeah, that's in your pitch deck, right? Oh my gosh, I love it.
Maybe I need to add that in. I'll just mention
Like I told you guys, I told you so. Like I hate to tell you, I told you so, but I
it'll
told
be
you so.
in the conversation, especially in the Q&A. I'll bring.
Oh, that's a perfect time to bring that in.
How accurate is it? What's the weather today? And what was the forecast from 3 months ago?
There's your answer. There's your answer. Oh my gosh. Well, Gary, going into next week, are we seeing any highs, lows with the weather? Anything we need to pay attention to? I know you said we got our blue skies part of the cycle, but anything else that we need to pay attention to?
Blue sky part of patterns here. It's going to dry out for a few days. In May, it's hard to dry out. In May, usually the moisture starts creeping in and stays around, so you end up with higher dew points, which leads to better chances of thunderstorms. So we'll see what the blue sky part of the pattern does, but we expect the blue sky part of the pattern to return in May as well. But next week we'll talk about the next series of storms that will be showing up on the maps, and we'll discuss all those rain possibilities to make sure you have your planting timed properly, and then for all the other interests out there.
I love it. Perfect. Well, anything else we need to cover today, Gary, or have we kind of hit the ball on the head on everything?
I gotta go up to my little studio that they put in my office and practice right now and see if it works. Because remember, I'm broadcasting in Colorado every morning, so the technology has to work.
It has to be pretty sound.
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty solid. Well, at least I guess this is one advantage that came out of COVID, right? When everyone had to go remote and you guys had to do all of your broadcasting remotely from your homes. Like all of the tech teams got really good at being able to set up remote facilities and stuff like that.
It is set up properly, but we will see how it goes.
Yay!
But when we put the show together, what does a weather person do? This could be a whole segment, but just know there's a couple hours of preparation before you're on the air where we're graphics artists also. When you see those weather forecast maps, we put them together, create them, put our slideshow together like a PowerPoint, and then we present that to you. It takes a while to get that done and prepare. Then you prepare, and then you're on. And I'm not just on once. I'm going to be on at 3:30 and 4 and 5 in the morning and 6 in the morning. So a lot of times.
Yeah, you are. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Did you think that when you were going to become a weatherman that you were also going to become a graphic designer?
No, that is something you not even taught in college. But I was actually pretty decent at it because I got an A in synoptic lab. Synoptic meteorology is just basically looking at from the mile high view, and it's like so. And I got an A in that class because I was able to draw weather maps real quick. So I was actually a natural for this graphics artist on TV.
You are just perfect for this position then, right? Like
Yeah,
the weatherman calling was there your whole life. Like from the age of 10 to now, it's there.
Let's see what happens to the 62-year-old getting up at 3:30 in the morning.
You're going to do great. You might be using coffee this time around.
Yeah, I will.
But you're still going to do great.
Here's to all of you.
Oh, perfect. Well, Gary, thank you so much again for a wonderful Friday discussion. And to all of you listeners out there, we hope you have a great start to your week, a great Monday. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review, do all of the things. And we will see you all tomorrow on another episode. We'll see y'all.